Hi, and welcome to another episode of Sovereign Sisters Podcast. I'm Angela Atkins, your host, and tonight we're going to talk about the meme wars. Memes have been all the rage for the last many years. I can't tell you how many. I literally didn't know what a meme was for a long time, and so I had to look it up and said, oh, okay, now I get it. So before we get started, I do want to give a shout out to Truth 11. And as they state, the truth is told in pictures saying 1,000 words and memes a few more. So that's what we're going to look at tonight, how these memes give out context and explain situations. So to give you a definition, just because I had to look it up to get a real clear definition of what a meme was. It's a concept, a behavior, or a piece of media that spreads across different platforms for person to person or within a culture with the goal of conveying a particular uh, theme or meaning. And honestly, it's been a phenomenon that's just been growing and growing, especially in the last several years through this, whatever you want to call this age that we're in. But there are a lot of things about memes that are very interesting. People latch onto certain things and they feel like, wow, this really speaks to me. So they're replicated over and over again, and they talk to things that are current or that are really in the public view. And so many of them have caught on that you see them everywhere. You see them on social media. I've seen them actually on posters, outside on billboards. People are really attracted to memes. And why I call it meme wars is because it seems like people are vying for that public space, getting the message out. It's not a bad thing. I'm not talking about warring in a bad way. I'm talking about fighting for truth, fighting for freedom, fighting to save ourselves in the midst of all the nonsense that's going on. So, where's the truth? The truth lies somewhere between what is being told to us by them and the wild conspiracy theorists, because there's always some element out there that has a little bit of truth. But as you'll go through and see, a lot of the truths have been told to us years and years ago. We just weren't listening. We didn't know that they were the truth. We thought they were just fiction, things that were made up for our entertainment. But many times the truth is right there in front of your face, and all you have to do is take your time, take it in, evaluate it, and say, what are they trying to tell me here? Because a lot of it's right there in your face, like I said, and it's hard to believe. It's hard to see. Now, there were so many memes, it was hard to pick a selection, but I did. And for that purpose, we'll go through them and I'll give you my comments on it. But feel free to share your comments with me, and we'll have a discussion online if we can. So the first one up, let me share my screen and I'll show you. The first one up is the Captain Morgan, the most interesting man in the world. And he is a recurring meme. I mean, just everybody uses him for all sorts of sayings or witticisms. But the other picture is Dr. Malone, who thinks he's the most interesting man in the world, and the self-described inventor of the mRNA technology. And it's very pointed that this one says exactly what we really think. You created mRNA, but did you really take it? Kind of wonder. Not ascribing any maleficence to him or any bad things. All I'm saying is it makes you wonder, because it's right in your face, but who knows the truth? So here's one that I see that recurs all the time. Name one ingredient in vaccines that makes us healthy. I'll wait. Yeah, I've not seen any person post anything other than there isn't anything. And I turned it around to, it really is the same thing in the picture here. We're talking about weapons of mass destruction. Well, that's what we think this other thing is. And we're not going to say what it is because we're on YouTube. So we're just going to say this weapon of mass destruction is really by the guy on the lower picture, who is all about getting as many as they can out to the public every time possible. I mean, every little thing they can think of, they develop one of these things. Why? Because they think we're foolish. They think we don't pay attention. I think we're at the point now people understand there is nothing going to benefit our health from taking these things. So we need to step back. Again, they're right in your face. What is the healthy part? I haven't seen it yet. So this one, I thought a follow-up to the last one. I think it makes sense that on the left it says, if my dog got 3 rabies vaccines in a year and still got rabies, I'd start asking questions. Why hasn't everybody? That's exactly the point of this meme. It's to get people to start asking questions. There's been enough time, enough has gone on, and I'm at the point in the right side. At this point, your blood is either boiling or it's clotting. Says it all, doesn't it? So in your face, if you need to get multiples of these things and you still get what they say you're going to not get, how does it make sense? In your face all the time. So I thought this was kind of funny. This Dr. Evil meme is used over and over and over again. All the things. So the first one, makes your internet faster, and it's 5G. Okay, really? And then the second one, it's got fluoride in the toothpaste, so it's going to make your teeth stronger. And we all know fluoride's a neurotoxin. Again, Dr. Evil's telling us right from the beginning. And then the lovely climate change stuff that they think is going to be so wonderful for us with the chemtrails. So it's going to reduce global warming. Has anybody seen that? Has anybody seen any changes in the weather other than for the worse? Because it's being manufactured. So this Dr. Evil meme to me says it all. It says, we're telling you up front, we're doing it all to make it for some other reason, but not what we're telling you. And so I thought it was funny that somebody took that meme, took the Dr. Evil meme and put the real Dr. Evil's face on it. That's Dr. Fauci, as I call him. So he could fit in any one of those, but I think most likely he fits everything that has to do with health. If they say there's a meme about something healthy, you get Dr. Fauci, to avoid it. That's the meme for me. So here's one. I have to laugh because they refer to the woman on the bottom on the left as Karen. I want to apologize on behalf of all Karen, on behalf of all meme makers who use Karen as their meme subject. I have lots of friends who are named Karen, and none of them are like this. So obviously they picked a name that unfortunately is not very nice to some people, but just go with it for right now. So Karen has the 2 buttons. You're taking away rights from women. But the other button says, what's a woman? So we went through this a couple of years ago and we're all saying, okay, this is silly. We know there's only 2 genders. So let's use the common sense mom on the right side that tells you who they're going to vote for because she's a woman. But yet they can't define what a woman is. So it seems to me they're in your face again. They're trying to use both sides of the argument. What's a woman? Well, we've got a woman for you to vote for, but we don't really know. So how is anything that they say about that woman true? If you don't know what a woman is and you're going to vote for a woman, then is that woman actually what she says she is? Think about it. All the claims made against it. Kind of don't think so, but my opinion. This I thought was great. They keep using this baby's face over and over again. I don't know whose baby this is, but the look is so funny, cracks me up. I've seen it many times, and every time I see that face, I have to laugh. So again, in your face, You think an industry that makes its money off of sick people is going to give you a free, you know what, that's going to make you super healthy? It's the same thing. We're trying to tell you up front. The meme makers are out there trying to get you to listen, trying to get you to learn. And I know they may be doing it to a closed audience, kind of screaming it in a vacuum, because the people who are seeing this are probably the ones who already know. But the good thing is there are many people who are trying to carry these things out further. And I think having this baby with this great humorous face is just it's great to me. I just love it. So the other aspect they talk about is gun control because of murdered children, but you support abortion. Do we need voting control? So all the things they talk about are on its head. You say you need gun control because of murdered children, yet you murder children using abortion. So you need gun control. So we see none of it makes sense. Exposing the lies in a humorous way is a great meme. I think this is just hysterical with this baby. Now, here's one. I have to be honest, I had to look it up. I'm not an Office fan, but this is a nod to The Office. So, on the left, they're telling you politicians aren't disarming citizens to keep citizens safe. They're disarming citizens to keep themselves safe when they enact tyranny. Again, is so true. Our Constitution, Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, is for us to protect ourselves against our government. Nobody seems to get it outside of the circle of people who already are aware. People who buy into this gun control thing don't really understand that it's there for us to protect ourselves from tyranny. That's how we became the United States of America. So this meme says it right there. This is basically our Second Amendment right in your face again. And on the right is another Office nod. It said, if we could all stop listening to the people who tried to kill us, that would be great. And I understand that the sarcasm in it doesn't come across quite as well when I say it, but I really do think we really need to stop listening to those people who are not in our best interest. They're not offering us any kind of measure of help to move forward. What they're offering is to take away our rights, including our First and Second Amendment rights. And these memes are right there to say, nope, don't do it. Love it. So here's another one that I particularly love. On the left is the actor from Breaking Bad who played Gus Fring. And I think it's a very telling way of saying, you own guns to defend yourself from criminals. I own guns to defend myself from the government. We are actually not the same. And that's so true. People don't understand. They think they have a gun to protect just their family. And he's saying we need to protect ourselves from the larger enemy. And I think that's really important to understand, because nowadays people don't really get what we're going through. They don't really, if they're not involved in whatever movement you want to call it, conservatives, truthers, it doesn't matter. The other side doesn't get the gun argument. And so we need to put it out there, and that the memes are great. And I offer to you to share memes with your friends who are not awake and aware, because they won't get it, and it'll give you an opportunity to start a conversation. So on the right is obviously Leonardo DiCaprio, and he said, me watching the left, realizing that the 100 million ballots they pre-filled now have the wrong name. This is one of the latest ones, and I had to chuckle at it also, because it's, again, in your face. If you don't know there's election rigging, this will tell you. And again, share with your friends, see what they have to say. I'm not saying that I hope it starts an argument, because I don't want that, but let it start a discussion. Let it start feeding those interests that people may have but don't know where to go to ask questions, because it's really important to have the other side start asking questions. The other side needs to know we're here actually to help them. We're not here to hold it over their head. Yeah, there's going to be people who say, I told you so, and people are going to do that anyway. But I think mostly people want to say, join me. help, come and just join the resistance, basically, so that we're on the right side together and we get through this together. Because I'm certain you have friends you don't want to lose, family you don't want to lose if things go sideways, and it's a possibility they could go sideways in the near future. So this is the kind of thing that if you share with your friends and have that conversation, it might trigger something, and you say, we have mutual ground, because neither one of us want this to happen. But do it in a humorous way. Use a meme. So this is when I thought about myself. There are people I wanted to ask this question of, what would you have done if you were back in the 1930s? And that's for those who need it read. It's if you've ever wondered whether you would have complied during 1930s Germany, now you know. And that's exactly what I wanted to say to some people, because I've heard so many, I don't even know how to express it. So many things about, well, I don't understand why you wouldn't do this and why you wouldn't do that. And I mean, just go right along with it. Well, going right along is where you got to, where you got yourself in trouble, where you go along and you comply and you're complacent and compliant. You wind up doing the things that do you harm. And some of those things really are to no one's benefit except the people who are ruling over you. And the other one, again, these are the word memes that get people thinking and hopefully get people talking. So that on the right side, they say they somehow managed to demonize coughs, sniffles, and having no symptoms at all, but normalized strokes, blood clots, neurological disorders, and died suddenly. This one gets me. This one gets me right at the core of it, things, because my daughter died suddenly because of the thing that they said you should go do. So this is what I want to put in people's faces and say, how do you think having a cough or a sniffle requires something that you put into your body? Your body is self-healing. And I'm going down a serious tangent here because this is so personal. I don't think people realize just how much harm modern medicine has done. And so instead of just saying, let's go along because, I want to travel or I want to go see grandma, you say no. It's just a cough, a sniffle, or nothing at all. But you say, because you forced me to take tests or whatever, no, say no. No more tests, no more anything. I'll take care of myself. Let's go back to grandma's chicken soup. Let's not worry about things outside of us. Let's start looking inside of us, healing ourselves, so we don't have those normalized things that are not real. It's not normal for people to die suddenly. We know it. We all know it. But how many of us are afraid to actually speak it out loud? I'm not afraid to speak it out loud. I'll tell you right now, when somebody says, oh, somebody died suddenly, my first question is, did they have one of those things in their arms? And people don't like it, but it gets them thinking. I don't need to be liked. That's not my purpose. My purpose is to share information, to help people be sovereign, to help people live healthy lives. And if that bothers them, it's not my worry. It's not my concern what their feelings are about what I ask. My concern is about helping people and bringing them to a place where they learn to be sovereign and have bodily autonomy. So this is what I liked about this one, is they take phrases that are in the public lexicon, BLM, Black Lives Matter. I thought this was great. This shows you right in your face, there's nothing there. There's nothing. So what matters about it? Yes, the other BLM, people are going to say, oh, that's really important, but it really is about telling you that nothing's there for you. They're not going to tell you anything, but it really matters that you know what's under those black lines. And it was important to have them release those documents to the public rather than wait 75 years, because the underlying information is what we needed to find out what god-awful thing was happening. And it's like the other sign says, the real conspiracy theorists believe that the government cares about them. The media would never mislead or lie to them. And the pharmaceutical industry that makes billions of dollars off sickness wants to cure them. There's no there's no truth into any of it. That's not a conspiracy. The government doesn't care. They want our money and control. The media does lie. Go look up the Smith Modernization Act. During the Obama years, they made it acceptable, legal to propagandize our own country to our own citizens. And that's what's been happening. You're being told lies by the mainstream media. I know if you're listening to me or you follow things like Sovereign Sisters, you already know that you already have sovereignty. But this is what we need to tell others. Stop listening to mainstream. Start finding independent media, finding those places that tell you the truth. They're not conspiracy theorists. They tell conspiracies that are facts. It's just, ahead of the time. It's like I've said earlier, they're not conspiracy theories. They're spoiler alerts. In about 6 months, and nowadays it seems like sooner than that, like 3 months, it turns out that that was the truth. So bear with your conspiracy theorist friends. You're going to need them. Now, this one, I got caught up so much in the government, the police, and everything. I had to put it all in. I just couldn't do two. So we think the police are here to help us, the citizens, but truly, they are here just to enforce the law. They are underneath the government structure. They're not our protectors. If we really want people to protect our constitutional rights, we have sheriffs, and hopefully the sheriffs are following their constitutional oaths. But it's not the police. And I say that with all deference to police because my own father was a police officer for 25 years. And I'm not saying he would do anything bad, but we're living in a different world. We're living in a different type of society where they're falling in line because their jobs are on the line, their money, their livelihood, everything that they need. They have to follow those that pay them. So it's really important to know that we have constitutional rights that they can't take away from us. And like Thomas Jefferson said, if a law is unjust, a man is not only right to disobey it, he's obligated to do so. That's exactly what I'm saying about police. If they do something or stop you for an unjust cause, you have every right to say no and not answer questions. But also, even further up federally, I thought it was interesting that this law of the land, it says, the general misconception is that any statute passed by legislators bearing the appearance of a law constitutes the law of the land. The U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and any statute to be valid must be in agreement. It is impossible for a law which violates the Constitution to be valid. This is succinctly as followed. All laws which are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. And I find this so interesting because a first-year lawyer studies Marbury versus Madison. They know this to be true. You can't make laws up which go against the Constitution, such as our Second Amendment, which gives us the right to bear arms. And then a state says, oh, no, you have to do all these other things, all these hoops you have to jump through, or you can't do this certain thing, or you can't own this certain gun, it's all repugnant to the Constitution. That's why we as citizens need to learn the Constitution. We must stand up for ourselves. And as the fourth meme states, the United States Constitution does not exist to grant your rights. Those are inherent within you. Rather, it exists to frame a limited government so that those natural rights can be protected and exercised freely. We have to understand that. So everybody should start reading the Constitution. Everybody should share it with their children. It should make it a thing that you do all the time. Our rights are from God, and the Constitution just seals that and says the federal government is limited. Our rights are as stated. We don't have to answer to something that is not legal or just. So it's time for us to step up, step out, be heard. Go to city councils, go to, wherever you can, talk to your sheriff, see if they are constitutional sheriffs, see if they would back you in anything you think you want to do. I think it's really important that we get back to learning what our country was built on. And these memes say it all right in a nutshell. It is up to you to exercise your rights freely as a free individual, not just a person under the law, because that person doesn't exist. You are a living man and woman, and you need to take your rights and exercise them freely. So, again, a little bit more on the government. The difference between government and thieves is that thieves don't pretend they're helping you. So think about that. How many think taxation is theft? I know I do. It's really quite simple. We were not taxed before, what was it, 1913? Don't quote me on the year. I think that was the year. But before that, you got 100% of your salary. The federal government didn't get all these pieces and parts and tax this, tax that. We are being robbed by working. It is awful. And because of that, the government knows, as a nation where we have 300, 400 million weapons, homeowners have their own weapons in addition to other, ex-military, ex-law enforcement. That's why they want to take your weapon away. They know that once you get wind and are ready to stand up, they're outgunned. They're totally outgunned. And so the other meme says, the only reason why the government would want to disarm you after 243 years is because they intend to do something that you would shoot them for. Think about it. We're almost there. I think people are finally getting to the point where they've had enough. And if it goes too far, those who are willing, those who are able, those who are armed will go to downrange bullets. I mean, we have to be realistic. We've had a civil war before. I certainly don't want us to see a civil war again. I don't. But push people too far, and they are armed and ready to protect their family, their property, their livelihood, whatever it is, something may happen. And I think we need to all be aware that we should do everything before getting to that point, but be prepared if it does. And that's what this is saying. So now I did a little different view here. The health crisis that we keep continuing to have. It seems like there's another health crisis every week. They come up with something stupid. Well, if you look at the picture on the left, those health leaders, there's Rachel Levine in the United States. And if you recall from the last podcast where we talked about the various services and government programs, that person, I don't want to say ascribe a pronoun, let's say, to that person, because I honestly don't think that would be correct, either one that I would use. That person is part of it. And so they're just an authoritarian in a role to kind of push you around, using up your tax dollars for nonsense, basically. There is no public health involved in it. Then in Belgium, there's Maggie de Block. Again, do you want to take health advice from someone like this? It's unbelievable. And then in Canada, there was Theresa Tam. As they used to say in the old days, she could eat a cheeseburger because she really needed it. I don't mean any nastiness about that, but someone who is that gaunt should not be offering me health advice. And in Britain, I honestly don't know who this is because there's been so many of them, but that's the whole point. It's like a revolving door. If one doesn't do it, let's just throw in another one. People will listen no matter what. Stop listening to these unelected people. They have no rights over you. You own your own body. Skip what they say, because literally every word out of their mouth, I would do the opposite. It's ridiculous. These are not people in public health. These are people who have been given a corporate type job to go and be a front person for the government to tell you what to do, what to take, how to live your life in, health policy. No, no. Bodily autonomy. Take it. And on the same note, the other meme is, it's a lot easier to tell yourself you're a hero than it is to realize you've been complicit in the biggest fraud in history. This goes to every doctor, nurse, anybody in the medical profession that followed this narrative about this pandemic and everything it requires. Stay at home, wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart, take a shot, do this, do that. It was all nonsense. And it continues to be nonsense. I still see people who continue to have that fear, who continue to wear the mask, who continue to tell, stay away from me because if you get too close, you could transmit germs. My God, people, we need to stop. People have to get past this fear factor. It is unconscionable to me that people have listened to doctors who have no idea what they're talking about when they start talking about health and the variety of things that this particular pandemic had to offer, because they were fed the same nonsense. It came down those administrative lines. Their Uber lords told them what to say, what they could do, what they needed to do with their clients and patients, and that they did it for money to keep their jobs. So all of them are complicit. I have no compassion at all for them. If they all get charged with crimes, it's on them. They should have thought about it. I think if you knew at the time what you were doing was wrong and you did it anyway, yeah, you should pay the price. No, not sorry. Never going to be sorry for that. So here's a cute one. These are a kind of a throwback to more like a 50s look, which I kind of like. I think the 50s is such a neat era. I'm 50s person. So I really like the idea of this little girl saying, do you remember when we treated viruses with soup, vitamin C, and plenty of rest instead of communism? Because that's exactly what we were treated with. Communism. Do what we tell you to do or you have no rights. If you don't do this, or if you don't take this test, or if you don't get this ID, passport, whatever it is, you don't have a job. You can't travel. It's communism. That's the state telling you what to do. And state, I mean by a larger government, not necessarily just your state, but every state, the governments around the world, telling you what to do, how to live your life, how you should treat your body. You should always have a choice. Even when you go see a doctor, it should always be a choice. You get advice and the doctor says, this is what I recommend. And you can say, no, thank you. Because a doctor is not a healer. Doctor means teacher. So they should be teaching you how to care for your body so it stays healthy rather than taking all these treatments and drugs and everything. Your body is self-healing. So go back to having chicken soup and vitamin C. Do a world good. I mean, it's amazing how a little bit of homemade chicken soup makes you feel good, a kind of a comfort food, and a lot of vitamin C will help clear up a lot of inflammation and make your body so much more resilient. And go out in the sunshine. It'll be so much better for you. And the other meme is, and just like that, little Susie cured the worst virus of all. And that sums it up in a nutshell. If people would stop listening to whatever's coming across the television, I mean, in the old days, we called it the boob tube, and it really is. There are boobs on the tube telling you nonsense. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I just can't believe people still listen to these idiots. They come on with such ridiculous statements, and people will watch channel to channel sometimes. Sometimes people are stuck on one channel, but they'll watch multiple channels. If you hear the same thing, and it's just reinforcing this nonsense in your head. So literally, turn off mainstream TV. Don't listen to any of it. You'll be much better off. You won't know that there's a pandemic because no one will have told you. It would be fantastic that way. Instead, Tell your friends, the people who are not awake and aware, hey, why don't you stop watching TV for a month? See how you feel. You actually might feel better. Fear might go away. You might not worry so much. It would be a great test to see if maybe make it a game or a kind of a bet that you have. I bet I can go a month without watching any TV and see if they'll go along with you, because they won't have the news or they won't have the propaganda. And what especially they won't have is all the commercials with drugs and shots and everything else, which just keeps reinforcing that your body doesn't work. Your body doesn't work. We need to fix you. No, your body works perfectly. And when it needs help, your body already has built-in mechanisms. Yes, there are a lot of things that go into this, and there are plenty of people who are going to say, oh, I've been sick and I need this medicine and I need that medicine. Well, that's true, because you got yourself there, probably because you weren't eating well or you're drinking tap water or whatever. But you can get yourself better. You can heal yourself. There are ways. You don't always need to go running to a doctor. You don't always need to take medicine. It is without a doubt the biggest farce I've ever seen. Modern medicine is only about 150 years old. What do you think they did for all those years before modern medicine? And people will say, here's the argument, oh, but they died much younger. Well, you know why they died much younger? Because they were out working on the farm and they were chopping down trees and using equipment that they may have seriously injured themselves, and there was no hospital right by. So they literally died from, working too hard because they injured themselves and couldn't get care. Or, yes, women died in childbirth because if there was a complication and there may have been no one there to help them, it was much more difficult. So there is a need for medicine, especially emergency medicine, to care for those things, but there's no need for all this chronic care. We need to learn to heal ourselves again. This is so opposite of the way God made us. So turn the TV off, stop listening to the news, stop listening to the commercials, start thinking, start getting outside of yourself. Do things more outside. It would be great. So here's another one. I've seen these multiple memes with, a man and a woman, probably husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, something. And on this side, he says, she's probably thinking of other guys. And she says, I need a 9.48 kilowatt solar system with 3 power walls, a well, a 2,000 gallon rainwater collection setup, a biogas generator, 5.5 acres turn 5.5 acres in my backyard into a garden with an aquaponics system in order to be self-sustaining. How can I do all of this before society totally goes to shit? So here's the thing. How many people have seen these memes? And they're all different. I mean, it's like he's thinking of this, she's thinking of that. But this one says it all. This is the wake and aware person. This is the one that you want to say, oh, I really want to be like her because we need to get prepared. But so many people just kind of dismiss it like, I've got everything at home. I really don't need anything else. Well, what happens when the lights goes out? What happens when the power goes down? What happens when there's no internet, when there's nothing but you to take care of everything? You need a backup plan. And I think this is the way to go. You start thinking about those things. Really good idea to take into consideration those things that she offers. And then the other one is more political. She says, he's probably going to vote for Trump. And he says, I should buy some land in Montana and move off the grid. So it's another one where they're trying to be more self-sufficient. She thinks of the obvious, oh, this is a political thing. Well, no, it has to do with being self-sustaining. I think it's great when all of these memes are out there that people identify something with them, like, oh, that would be my husband or that would be my wife. And then it starts a conversation and you say, well, that's great. Why don't we look at these possibilities? How about, do we need a solar backup? Should we be collecting rainwater? Because the more self-sufficient you are, the less likely you are going to caught unaware. So these memes say it for you. Now here's another one that I see over and over again. I don't know who the guy is, and if somebody does, you can tell me, but Not aware who it is. On the left, he said, "Wars should be financed through GoFundMe and fought by those cheering for it." Changed my mind. What a great idea. I think that's fabulous. All wars are manufactured. We know that. We know that the powers that be funds both sides, that there is no reason for war. And I have said this for years. In my mind, war seems to be a manufactured process that just generates tons of money for the large, industries, for the governments, but ruin society because we lose all our young people in the wars. And I just never understood it. And now that I know the whole truth, that's always been manufactured, that they've always been out there doing this over and over again. I mean, just ruining, decimating young lives for no reason whatsoever. I just buy into this so much. Go ahead. You want to have a war? You go get it funded yourself. Go get it self-funded. And then those people who self-funded it, they go fight that war. That's fantastic. I'm not going to change my mind either. And so on the other side, it says tyranny is only possible because of order followers. And that one's true. You can't change my mind. If you stop following all these orders that don't make sense, you have to have questioned at some point, why do I need to do that? How many times do I have to take this? It doesn't make sense. So rather than trying to just go along to get along, start questioning it and stop just doing it. The more you comply, the more they ask of you. That's the truth. The more you give, the more they will take. So here's another one that I was kind of uncertain about because I am not a John Carpenter fan, but my husband filled me in on this one. This is from John Carpenter's They Live. Roddy Piper plays Nada, and he in the movie he puts on the glasses and he can see the things that are, like underworld type things that you would never see, the creatures and all. And wow, they're telling you right to your face, here are sustainable goals. You're going to do all this. But really, under the covers, it's this new world order. We're going to keep you in control. We're going to have you do everything we want you to do in 15-minute cities and keep your carbon footprint down and all that nonsense they push. And so the guy with the glasses is telling you that in your face, they're telling you exactly what they're going to do. But under the covers, there's the real important, deep, dark issues that really matter, that they're not saying out loud to you. They're covering it up with these catchphrases like sustainable energy and crap like that. But underneath of it, what they're saying is, we're going to take away as much as we can from you so you can live the way we want you to live. And hopefully we'll get rid of you in the process. And the second meme, of course, are what I'm going to call globalists. They're not elites by any measure. I refuse to call them elites because there's nothing elite about them. They may have money, but they're not elite. They may have elitist thoughts like, oh, I'm better than you, but they are not elite in any fashion by the definition of that word. They're globalists who have plans to control the world. And they really are, what, the reptilians? Maybe they are. I don't know. That's not something I can speculate on. If they are, I hope they're dealt with in short order and to the full extent. So here's one. I couldn't find out who this guy was. I hope somebody who knows it tells me who he is, because I see him all the time too. And maybe he's just an AI generated meme guy. I have no idea. But he says, "Thank God for these fact checkers. I almost thought the government was tyrannical for a second there." And who needed fact checkers before the truth came out? Literally. And that's what the second picture is on the left. Free speech was attacked over and over and over again to the point it was pummeled it to death. You couldn't get the truth out. Every time you posted something on a platform that had fact checkers, they'd slap a warning or they'd ban you or they'd close your account or something ridiculous. I said back in, I guess it was 2020. I'm not really sure. One second. I wasn't dealing with any platform that was going to ban me or basically silence my voice. I'm a free person. I'm a woman that says her mind and speaks it out loud. And if you don't like it, move on. That's fine. You don't have to stay. You don't have to like it. That's okay. But I'm going to say what I think, and I'm going to say it truthfully. I'm not making stuff up. I'm not out there to kind of fool people into thinking one thing or another. I'm saying my truth. If my truth doesn't resonate with you, okay, that's fine. You have your truth. But I was on a platform that when I started posting my truth, I was getting warnings over and over and over again. And I thought, why am I staying here? I'm out. I'm gone. I'm out of here completely. And I went to Telegram. No, I have no bans, no censorship. You can speak your mind. You can use the words that you can't use here because, again, where we're streaming to. And I think about that and I think, why did that happen? Because the truth bears the globalist plan, and they don't want you to know. But now that we're getting closer and closer to things coming to a head, it's kind of hard to hide the truth. So if you're on any of these platforms that ban you or censor you still, get off. You don't need to give them your time, energy, or interest, and especially if you have a following. Get off. They're making money off of you. Go somewhere else. Take your following with you. Say, we're not supporting this platform anymore by putting our stuff on it just because they're the biggest thing. The less you do with those places, whether it's social media or even places that are physical buildings that ban you from doing things, stop going there. Don't give them your money. Don't give them their time. Don't give them your energy. Just stop. And eventually they'll get it. But people are fighting it like, oh, I got a 30-day ban. I got to wait 30. No, screw that. Skip the 30-day ban. Go somewhere else. Say, take your 30-day ban and shove it. I'm done. You're worthless. I'll go somewhere else and I'll do just as well, because people want the truth. People don't want lies. People don't want this nonsense. If you need to have following made up of people who want lies, then I say you're in the wrong business. You're following the people who are following you for the wrong reasons. So move along. This is especially annoying to me, this one. This is Little Miss Greta Thunderpants. I have to tell you, she is one annoying little person. Now, the other part of me has a little compassion for her, because I believe the globalists have robbed this person of her childhood, and she's been brainwashed or MK Ultra'd or something to believe the nonsense that she's out there promoting. Who knows? Maybe they have something over her or over her family, talking about climate change, where the weather is always your fault and the only solution is more communism. She doesn't say that, but that's what it amounts to, because climate change is where the weather is always your fault and the only solution is socialism. And socialism, communism, doesn't matter. It's all tyranny, whatever way you want to use, Marxism. It's all out there for you to see. This little person has been put front and center, and hopefully no more. Hopefully she's fading away, but she's been around for so many years. I honestly, I do feel badly for her. That I hope that people will realize she is just a shill. She's been used. Her childhood's been robbed from her. It's so unfortunate. And yet there are people who buy into this bullshit. And I'm just so sick of it. If I never see Little Miss Greta Thunderpants again, it will be too soon. I'm done with her. So just as a reminder, as we've talked about different things, I always look at this last 4 years as just the strangest anomaly of my life. There are people who actually did all these things, lived, put themselves in bubbles, hugged through plastic, sat 6 feet apart outside in the grass in little circles. How insane we have made people. I mean, this is insanity. We have a whole generation, maybe 2 generations, that are completely lost, that have bought into this crap and think, oh my God, we need to protect ourselves. We need to wear masks. We need to stay 6 feet apart. We need to do. It's crazy. People, We need to hug more. We need to be together as people. We need to be out in nature. We need to walk barefoot in the grass. We need to go and pet animals. This we don't need. We don't need more plastic in our lives. We need less plastic, more nature. So don't do this anymore. If you ever did it once, forgive yourself, saying, I made a mistake. I forgive myself. I'm never going to do it again, because this is insanity. So getting down to really hardcore brass tacks. This is where people are now. They're tired. All that other nonsense, gone. They don't want to hear it anymore. We're now going to say the facts until people get it through their head. Pedophilia is not a sexual preference. Bugs are not food. mRNA injections are not vaccines. Men are not women. The news is not real. Climate change is not a threat. And the government is not your friend. So, the other is true. The reality is no lives matter to the psychopaths in charge. This is where people are right now. This is where we wound up. We've had enough. It's been 4 years of total chaos, total insanity. And now we don't want this anymore. We're speaking the truth. We're saying what we believe. And that's what you need to do with family, friends, people you don't know. If you engage in a conversation while standing in line, say the truth. Don't try to worry about people's feelings. It's not your responsibility. Their feelings are not your responsibility. You are responsible for speaking your truth. I'm not saying be harsh. I'm not saying be mean. I'm not saying be rude. I'm saying speak the truth, and don't ever let anybody tell you it's not. So this is where I draw the line. They had literally come up with an acronym, SIDS, Sudden Infant Death Syndrome, to talk about what happened to babies dying suddenly in the last several years. We all know what it is. We all know how it happened. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. These babies were injected with poisons, and they have been injected for years. This whole childhood schedule of injections are nothing but poisons. And so when they came across adults now dying, they came up with SADS, Sudden Adult Death Syndrome, because they think you're stupid, but you're not. Literally, I had the coroner tell me that my daughter died from sudden arrhythmic death syndrome, which is also called SADS. And I almost spit through the telephone. I was so angry. I'm not stupid. I know exactly what happened. And no more. No more. I will tell everyone everywhere this is to never happen again. So now we need to get out of this, and we need to get back to what we need to be. So we need to start telling our kids these things. Tell your children every day, I love you. I'm proud of you. And when something is wrong or you do something, say I'm sorry and tell them that you forgive them. Listen to them. And most of all, start teaching them communism has failed every time it was tried. They need to know the truth. And you've got what it takes to do whatever they want to do. Just support them all the time. And they're old enough, tell them the government's corrupt, stay away from their you-know-whats. No shots at all. So whatever you want to call it, be unprogrammable, ungovernable, divergent, conscious, awake, alive. That's what I am. And so how did we get here? Well, psychologist Stanley Milgram said he found that 80% of the population does not have the psychological or moral resources to defy an authority's order, no matter how illegitimate the order is. Therefore, only 20% have critical thinking capacity. This explains quite a lot. So I thank you for listening, the 20%, because I know only the 20% get it. So thank you for using your critical thinking skills. Please share that process you go through, how you got to that, and be able to help people understand that they have the right to say no to something that is so wrong. Because when they say, but what can I do? I'm just one person, said 7 billion people. I've said it over and over again. Unite. Unite, come together. Say no more. Say I'm done. This is the way we do it. We start living our lives for ourselves. So I'm going to go a little bit into the more esoteric here. We are nature. We are part of nature. If you look at the left, the tree stump rings, and the right, the human fingerprint, we're so close. It's God's design. We are all those things, vibration, frequency, energy, that's us. We need to start using those to heal ourselves, to heal our world, heal our families. We need to do that right now. Start using the right frequencies. Start using that embodiment that God has given us of spirituality and his divine sense. And what we need are more people who can't be controlled. They can't control people who are self-dependent and know how to take care of themselves. This is why they don't teach you the basic skills of survival school. They teach you how to be dependent on the system. So instead of being dependent, we need to normalize buying 100 acres of land with your friends and growing your food and families together. That's a great idea. There are so many people now that I hear that are joining these kind of communal living spaces where they all work together, and families help other families. They raise their food, they raise their families together. It's a lovely idea, and maybe we should get back to that. So the whole bottom line here is, personally, this is the way I feel. I withdraw my consent to be governed by any corrupt, compromised, belligerent criminal, parliament, or government. I will not comply. So like the animals are there, become ungovernable. Do what is right for you. So if you're the only one in a crowd, you can tell them all, yep, you're all wrong. And here's another Leo meme, but this time he's saying, cheers to everyone who stayed true to their principles. Cheers to those who will never comply, those who will never be coerced or manipulated or controlled. The resilient heroes are the real MVPs. And so that I say that to you. So thank you for going through the memes with me this evening. I really enjoyed kind of walking you through them. I hope you leave comments, let me know how you feel about the memes, or if you have other memes you want to share. And one just came to me recently. Actually, my husband sent it to me, and I wanted to summarize everything that's going on in this. So let me read this to you. You watched the Hunger Games and sided with the resistance. You watched Star Wars and you sided with the resistance. You watched The Matrix and you sided with the resistance. You watched Divergent and you sided with the resistance. You watched V for Vendetta and you sided with the resistance. When it's fiction, you understand, yet you refuse to see it when it's in the reality you're living in. Wild. So I hope you see it. I hope you're aware now. This is reality. The memes are telling you in your face. Go be ungovernable. Go tell your truth. Tell it to everyone who will listen. Start with your family. Start with your children. Have them raised in the right way, where they become self-sufficient, they become ungovernable, and they are truly sovereign. And until next week, thanks everybody.